Flashback, Episode 25, Safehouse Planning in New York City of Dis. It was time to make our big plan of attack. We met in the kitchen dining area in our upscale Riverdale Safehouse mansion estate in the Bronx borough of New York City of Dis. Sarah reported for Team Sarah and Bob. She reported, "Bob and I went to a small town called Lilydale. The people there see their town as the spiritual capital, as America's epicenter for supernatural things, like ghosts and things like seances." Sarah smirked, as if not entirely believing the legend. Lilydale is said to have a very thin veil or separation between the planes of existence, between life and death, between the celestial planes, heaven, hell, limbo, and mortality. She said, that is why Lilydale became famous, for its easier access to speak with those in other planes, to speak with the dead. Sarah looked horrified and then smiled. The two emotions seemed incompatible. She exclaimed, "Perhaps, imagine, what if Hell's capital, the devil's dark tower of Baal? What if the very epicenter of Hell's command was right there in Lilydale? Just the dark tower would be in Hell's plane, overlapping our mortal plane in Lilydale." Sarah surmised, if so, it would make sense that the tapestry of Baal, or at least the crown of Baal, could be here in Lilydale, because Lilydale has a very thin veil, separating the planes of existence, making it easier to punch a hole through the veil, and thusly open a portal, a gateway to hell from the mortal earth. Bob jumped in on the Lilydale report. "Hey, let's get to some of the meat of our Lilydale experience. All that mumbo-jumbo celestial stuff aside, we encountered a fortress, man. Richard, that place was insanely protected. It was like at least 15 plus huge room mansion of stuff in there. I don't know. It was surrounded like with a perimeter wall, and there were cameras seemingly every 10 or 20 feet. And the building, it had cameras also at every corner, in the center, at its roof, everywhere. And there were robotic dogs, robo-dogs. They patrolled all around the outer wall. The black metal robotic hellhounds, they had protruded ears and sensors and booster antennas, I think for interbot communications. They had teeth and claws. They were razor sharp, reinforced steel looking. And they had eyes that glowed demonic red, and they marched with extreme force lethality. They were ready to be unleashed at any moment, with the least provocation. And Richard, worse, the robo-dogs, they had guns. These robot hellhounds, they truly were hellspawn. And there were also robotic bipedal humanoid, like android sentries, robo-sentries. They stood guard at the building doorways and gates. There were various models, too, of these hellspawn bots and humanoid sentries and hellhounds. One and all, they seemed to be made of reinforced black metal, and they all had glowing red eyes, antennas, and sharp appendages. And Richard, the robotic humanoid sentries, they also had guns. There were human snipers, too, all on the roof and every area in the walls. There were at least a fleet of hundreds of drones with guns. Yeah, they all had guns. The drones, too, like the robot dogs and the sentries, and all of them had different models. Each and every one, they were terrifying. They all hummed and buzzed and filled the air, scarily like hornets hunting their prey. They were black metal with black and red propellers and glowing red eye sensors and long-range antennas. Those drones were terrifying. They looked like monstrous mosquitoes with belly-mounted gun turrets with dangling razor sword-like blades beneath them. I'm telling you, Richard, they're from hell. The fleet of drones, they flew up from the building rooftop and they shot and they destroyed our little tiny spy drone. And then those drones, they kept flying. They were searching and hunting for us, Richard. Bottom line, that place in Lilydale, Soros' fortress, is insanely fortified. It's a compound from hell. It is truly a fortress. Sarah nodded. Bob's summary is accurate. I don't see how we're going to enter the compound without a creative plan. Sarah asked, how did the Manhattan penthouse investigation go? Katie answered first. It went badly. We got caught up in 2 public events where innocent people were being accosted. She stammered, as she often does of late, and continued. We saved a young man's life from a mob of people that were chasing him, and they were threatening to kill him. But our defending him was recorded by dozens and dozens of people on their phones. Even with spotty internet, I think they're going to be able to upload all the videos of us to the web and social media. Katie said, the other public event was, well, we tried to help a woman that the mob called a Karen. She was shamed into kneeling before a man who was demanding that she give him all of her money. Katie said, the woman was shame-mugged or guilt-mugged. I never imagined such a thing was possible, to guilt someone into willingly kneeling before you and then just to give away your money to them? Katie shook her head. I don't understand. I don't understand that. Not at all. That shame mugger, well, he confronted us and he declared that we too were Karens. And apparently that meant that we were automatically bad people. Still disturbed, Katie groaned. And while the mugger declared that we were threatening him, the woman insisted that she was guilty herself of white privilege and that she should give the man her money. Katie bemoaned. Once again, crowds of people, they filmed everything on their phones. She sighed. I am sure it's only a matter of time until it's all on the internet. Katie concluded rather tersely her summary with, and we killed 2 people. Bob interrupted. So you saved the best for last. You killed 2 people. He said, that seems pretty nonchalant of you, don't you think? I mean, you just say, we had some run-ins with the crowds. We may have been recorded. Oh, and by the way, we killed 2 people. Bob snarked, seems like maybe lead with the most pertinent information, you know? Katie explained, it was an accident, sort of. They pulled guns on us and on Deputy Taylor. And you never pull a gun unless you're going to use it, right? And well, Deputy Taylor, she had to assume, being a trained soldier and all herself, that, well, they were going to use the guns they pulled. And so Deputy Taylor defended herself. You know how that goes. Katie tried to detail what happened. They pulled their guns, and Deputy Taylor, like a cat, she flashed into action, and the next thing you knew, her first victim was on the ground, tumbling down a staircase. Then her second victim was on the ground, his head cracked and bloody. Katie looked a little defensive. I found fake police badges on them. They weren't even real cops. They were pretending to be police. And my tattoo, it told me that they were lying to us. Taylor reported, they attacked us. I defended myself and I defended the team. I eliminated the threat. I eliminated them. She sighed. I intended to neutralize them as a threat, not to neutralize them by killing them. She explained, the first would-be officer, I disabled him, but he accidentally fell down the stairwell and died. The second, fake officer, freaked out, and drew his gun, and was clearly going to panic fire at me, at us. And so I stopped him. He was far away, so I had to act quickly and very effectively. He could not take the injuries. He died. I nodded and agreed. We had no other recourse. We had no alternative. We had no other choice. They put us in the situation that we had to defend ourselves. They effectively killed themselves by pulling guns on us. As to our experience investigating Soros's Manhattan penthouse, I said, well, we bribed the penthouse doorman so he would let us in and bypass and disable security systems. He disabled things like floor plates and motion detectors, cameras, and apparently robot guard dog sentries. Which, by the way, sounded a lot like the bots you described at Soros's compound. I concluded, once inside, there were truly the sleeping robo-dogs as the security was disabled, and there was excessive opulence everywhere. But there was a panic room. We cut through the locked panic room vault door with the flaming dagger. It cut so easily through it. But there was nothing inside that mattered to us anyway. There was no devil's soul-draining crown of Baal. There was no Necronomicon book of Baal or rituals. There was no tapestry of Baal. There was nothing that mattered to our mission quest. Taylor declared, Lilydale should be our next full-on infiltration target. She said, it's clearly protecting something very important. It is as good a place as any to get inside and to see what Soros and the cult are hiding up there. Everyone, as if coordinated beforehand, said in unison, Hoo-ah! We were committed. We would infiltrate Soros's fortress compound in Lilydale.